Well, hello and welcome. Today it's going to be an attempt at answering some of these Q&As. You guys have asked a whole bunch of great questions, and yeah, for some reason I expected them to be easier, but there's some good ones in here. So I'm just going to start, I guess, and go through. There's a little bit of overlap, but I'll just do my best with it and maybe skip around a little bit depending. I've got my tea here, and I've got my iPad on the easel. I might do a little bit of doodling, but we'll see. So first one is, how many years did it take to get where you are in painting? And then the second question actually on here is, how did you get started with painting and what is your origin story? So I think I'll kind of try to answer both of those at the same time. So specifically for painting, I've been really practicing for about 2 years now at this point. Maybe not even quite 2 years, might be like a year and a half. And that's really like, yeah, before that I really wasn't a painter, didn't consider myself a painter. I had like painted before, I guess, but not at all like in a serious way. Now let's see where to start, because I think that's probably not really the beginning. So I've always loved to draw, and I've kind of drawn my whole life, like whether just, filling up sketchbooks and like entertaining myself in school and that sort of thing. Yeah, just kind of like doodling, I guess, more than anything, not necessarily anything formal or like for any real purpose, I guess. But kind of just like use it to work out ideas and that sort of thing. And then later on I actually did go to art school, so there's always like a question about that, and I always feel not quite sure how to answer it because I didn't go to art school for painting. I did go to art school for sculpture. I feel like the school I went to would probably like cringe at my painting, maybe. I don't know, maybe they wouldn't, but I really have no idea. So I always feel a little strange about how I connect that story together. But so I did do sculpture. I did like things like metal casting and woodworking and some work with clay and things like that, and that was pretty fun. And I think that influenced a lot of things that I do now and things that I think about as I'm painting now. And I don't really do any of that anymore, and it's just, there are a bunch of reasons, but it's just kind of something I moved away from. But I think it does influence me as a painter. Yeah, does that answer it? I would say that also if you do go to art school, you will find that afterwards there's no like direct path of employment or anything that you kind of fall into. So I've had a bunch of different jobs since then, from like working in tech to doing some like wood finishing and furniture finishing, to working in a school for a little bit. There's a question about if I've ever taught, and like the answer to that is kind of, but not really. And yeah, so I don't know. It's been an interesting adventure to get to where I am right now. And I think that a lot of it does connect, but not in any way that is going to make a ton of sense maybe to anyone else. It makes sense to me, but yeah, it's a little mixed. Let's see, what else is next? So, next question, is painting your full-time employment, or do you have another job? If so, what else do you do? So this is not my full-time employment. I have a normal job, I guess I'd say. I'm not going to go too far into the specifics of that, but I do have a regular job. I would love to be able to do this full-time, and I can see the potential of it, though I don't know how close that could be. Though things can change quickly, so you never know. Let's see. Is there any mechanism approach to your color sourcing, or do you wing it by feel? I do have kind of a strategy, but it evolves all the time. I kind of, as I'm looking at an image and I have an idea of what I want to do, I kind of think of two sort of main colors for the image, and I will start from that, and then I'll sort of build up a palette off of them. So a lot of times I'll come up with sort of a predominant like shadow color and then a predominant like light color, and a lot of times that'll be like a cool dark and then a warm light. Just kind of how things tend to work out in nature. And then I'll sort of decide how much more to add to that. Yeah, it's kind of different for every image. But that's kind of what I do. Is a lot of times, and the other thing I'll think about is how to get to black, or how to get to a dark in general. So I don't usually use black with any of my painting. So the way I'll get a dark color is by mixing two opposite colors. So for instance, like a red and a green, or a blue and an orange are usually my two ways that I will get to a dark. For the most part, you can do yellow, purple too, but I don't really have a purple on my palette that's like easy to get to, and the yellow that I use would be too light, so you can do it, but it doesn't quite work for the pigments that I generally have out. So sometimes that can help me decide where I'm gonna go. Do you watch ASMR? And if so, what is your favorite trigger? So I do. And actually, like, my favorite trigger, I would say a lot of times it's like the sort of massage and spa videos. I do like to watch painting videos, but for me, I tend to think too much as I'm watching them. And so I don't usually watch painting for like relaxation. I get too much in my head about it. So I don't tend to unwind very well to it. But I love just like relaxing vibes in general. Let's see, what do you do for work? My gas librarian, you've got that vibe. I'm not gonna get into it just for like privacy more than anything, but I'll say that my job is like, it's sort of creative, and sort of technical. And it sort of suits me, but I've also kind of been feeling for a while like I'm ready to do something new, so it will be nice if I can transition away from that. Let's see, how often do you clean your palette off and start with fresh paints? Is it normal to leave dried paint to potentially mix with fresh? Just curious. So I clean it off when it gets too annoying, and it's actually kind of getting to that point right now. It is, I feel like I'm running out of real estate here, so that will be a reason to clean up. There's not really any danger like of the dry paint causing any problems. It's mostly just that it can be a little irritating. Like if I do pick up dry paint and then I put it onto my canvas, then I could get like a blob there that then I'll have to like pick it out or something like that. But for the most part, like it kind of either is dry or wet. Like you can kind of like peel off the excess, I guess. And like there's always like good paint in there. So if you constantly are scraping this, you're just going to be wasting like tons and tons of paint. And that's something that it took me a while when I was getting into oil painting specifically, because with acrylic, you're kind of starting fresh every time. With oil, that's just like it's not really what anyone does, and it's not really feasible. Like it just doesn't work out too well. If you don't paint often, you may find that it's just easier to start fresh every time anyway, just because you don't want to have to scrape a lot of things constantly. Like if I wasn't going to paint for a couple weeks, like I'd be better off just getting rid of all of this and starting fresh, because all of it would be dried out by the time I came back to it. You can put your palette in the freezer is another thing that some people will do. And then if you're working on something long term and you want to be able to get the same colors back, and you have to take a big pause in the middle, that is a way that you can keep your paints good for longer. But since I'm painting almost every day or every other day, for me, just leaving it out is fine. I do go through it kind of fast enough that like the worst of it is just that it's a little like chunky at the bottom there, but the paint on top is usually pretty good. Let's see. Where do most of your reference pictures come from? Can people send you some? This has multiple questions, and I'm gonna start with those too, and I'll go on. So my reference pictures come from mainly two places. So either they're pictures that I've taken, so a lot of times I'll just like skim through my phone's camera roll and pick out things that I like. And now that I'm painting regularly, like I'm constantly kind of on the lookout for things that I just want to paint. And sometimes it'll be something that it gives me an idea, and maybe the scene isn't right, but it's like close. Or sometimes it's like vacation photos and things like that that work out pretty well for me. So yeah, it makes me want to travel more usually. And then the other place that I get my photos from is usually like free reference sites. So like something like pixabay.com I use a lot. And those are all royalty-free images, so that means that I can use them pretty much however. I credit the photographer to be nice, but you technically don't even have to do that. So I'll always put those links in the description when it's one of those photos. Yeah, so, but those work out well. And the nice thing about using royalty-free images or my own images is that I can share them with you. They're technically, like, references can get a little sketchy, because in the sense that as an artist you can kind of paint from anything, especially since you're like, I don't have a very like photorealistic painting style, so pretty much anything that I paint is going to be its own creation as I make it. But it would have the downside of I wouldn't be able to share that reference with you, because I couldn't take that photo and then post it in a video. So I pretty much only do free, either my photos or things that are free, which, has the downside. Working from free references is that you will come across sometimes the same image that you've painted, like dozens of other artists have like also painted that image because it looked good and they found it in the same place you did. But sometimes that can be really fun. Sometimes I love seeing other people's interpretations, and I'm like, I know that photo, like it'll happen. Yeah, I don't know. So that's how that is. What do you do with all the paintings you've done? Are they hanging up on or on drying racks? They are typically, yeah, I have a bookshelf that is over there that basically, like, whatever's recent that's still drying will just sit on the bookshelf. I've meant to make a drying rack, but it hasn't happened yet. So yeah, it's just a bookshelf that's been repurposed as a drying rack, and that works pretty well. Lately I don't have too many paintings that are hanging around waiting to sell, which is great, because I don't have a big pile of paintings. I used to have a big pile of paintings kind of propped up against the wall that were like dry and waiting to go somewhere, and those all kind of sold during the Christmas season, so that was cool. So I don't have as many paintings around being stored now. I do have some paintings of mine hung up around the house. Mostly they're ones that are kind of too big to ship in any sort of economical way. I love having big paintings around, but they're so far like a little bit cost prohibitive to send anywhere. So I don't paint too big too often, but I have a few big ones in the house. All right. Does your significant other paint too? Do they help you with your channel at all? Sorry, I have so many questions. All right. So yeah, I am married, and my husband doesn't paint He does help out with channel stuff occasionally, but mostly he kind of recognizes this is my project and he's like supportive of it, but like doesn't get too involved. But he knows I'm happy when I paint, so he likes it when I paint. Yeah. So let's see. So do you sometimes make art that is inspired based on what you recently watched, show, read a book, played a game, if you play games or listen to music? I think I actually replied to this one because I didn't realize it was on this thread. So that's funny, but not usually. I can't say that I never have, but it's not usually. Like, I think I tend to be a really like visual thinker, and I tend to most of my inspiration comes from things that are visual also. And I joked in the response to this, and I said that maybe I could do a Skyrim landscape because I do play Skyrim sometimes. I'm not a big gamer right now, but I've gone through phases with that. Let's see. What is your favorite of your paintings? My favorite of my paintings, I don't know. For me, it's like, often it's like my favorite painting is whatever one I've done most recently. So, I don't know. There's one that's posting today, which will be Wednesday for you. So I think this will be my Saturday video. So, maybe my current favorite is the most recent one, which is an Alaska scene with flowers, and I think that one has a nice combination of some kind of soft, pretty Bob Ross style painting, mixed with like more of an impressionist feel for some of the foreground, and that's something that I'm kind of interested in, blending those kind of two looks together. And I don't have it all figured out yet, but it's something that's kind of like circling around in my mind. Will there be an impasto style painting in the future? Yes. Do you have a job or hobbies outside of YouTube? And if so, what do you do? Yeah, so I mentioned I have a job. Hobbies wise, I like to do things outdoors. I like walking, hiking, snowboarding, skiing, a little bit of this and that. Let's see, what other hobbies? I don't know. I have like, between work and doing this honestly, it takes up the vast majority of my time. So I don't have like tons of extra things going on right now, but yeah, I like to get outside. That's probably the biggest thing outside of work and YouTube and painting. So yeah, outdoorsy athletic things. Let's see. Okay, forgive me in advance, not sure how to ask this correctly. Is there a trade secret to making objects properly proportioned to scale, that is? Does that make sense? I think that, I don't know if there's like a trade secret, but I think that on some level I'm going to say practice, and I think on the other I would say it's just about comparing objects to another. So if you see, for me, I'm always like, okay, this thing is half the size or twice the size of the next thing, or a third, and I kind of just look at things relative to each other and try to mark that. When proportions feel like particularly important to me, I will try to establish them earlier in the painting. For some things like landscapes, it's a little bit less critical than, like, for instance, if you were painting a portrait. It's just a little bit more forgiving. So with landscapes, I don't really think too much about it. I just kind of like do it. If I'm doing something for me that's more difficult, like a portrait, I would try to be like, okay, well, there's this eye, like there are some rules. So like, for instance, like the distance between an eye and the next eye and is like also the width of an eye. There's like some things like that you can learn, but I'm not like an expert at that at all. So a lot of times I'm just looking visually and trying to make comparisons. I tend to think more about angles than I do about proportions a lot of the time. That seems easier to me. Sometimes I can use that as a way to get things correctly situated. Yeah. Other than painting, what is your favorite medium of art, whether consuming or creating it? That's a good question. I mean, I really do enjoy looking at paintings from other people. I guess I don't know. Maybe I would say I like art that is physical. I think that right now that's something that I'm thinking about a lot, and like I think there's so much digital stuff, and I love video as a medium. I love this thing that we're doing right now. This is cool. But I feel like, and I think the reason that I like video is because it still feels really real to me. Like it doesn't feel as like overly polished as like a lot of things. Like I'm not into Instagram. I'm on Instagram, but I'm just like, I don't know. I don't enjoy that format. I feel like it's so, I don't know. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with it. It's just like, I'm thinking about digital art, I guess, versus like painted physical art. I like stuff that like hints at something real, like, or is something real. I think that's part of why I really like painting, and painting in kind of a sculptural way. And also like I like the realness of like ASMR. Like I feel like there's so little like on the internet that feels real anymore, and I think that actually like ASMR is kind of like a nice little spot still. Even, you can say what you will, but there's still a lot of good stuff out there. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm interested in that. I'm not like a big music listener. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but I know a bunch of you asked about music. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I will say like painting, but not necessarily just painting. If I come up with a better answer, I'm going to revise that. Okay, next question. I'm seriously impressed with how fast you've got subs. I remember when I first stumbled on a few hundred or thousand, maybe over the last few months, it skyrocketed. How do you feel about the growth speed? Do you have any goals or plans for when it really kicks off? Okay, I'll break that. This is a few questions in one, so I think the growth has been really interesting. I think it's been exciting. I feel like YouTube's a little bit funny in the sense that it's very jumpy. Like I don't know. I feel like there have been a couple of points where like I went from like 200 subs to 1,200 subs really quickly, and then I feel like then I kind of just bopped along, and I went from like around 1,200 to like maybe 3,000, and that was just kind of, I keep doing what I'm doing, and some people keep joining, and it's pretty mellow. And then over the fall, then it went from like, I feel like from like 3,000 or 4,000 to like 10 or 12, like within a couple months, and that was wild. I mean, it was really cool to have so many more people saying hi and weighing in, and just like, being excited that they found the channel. Like I don't know. It's been really cool. When I started this, I really didn't know if it would go anywhere at all. I was just like, I want to paint, and I want to make videos, and I'm going to post them, and I'm just going to keep doing it until like either I get bored with it or it, keeps going. So I don't know. It's been fun. I'm really enjoying it, and I love it. I think that I think with goals and plans, I don't have a lot of goals and plans. And that's partially just because it does feel to me right now like it's like one of these things that could go it could go either way. Like, I don't know. I still feel like it could blow up, or it could just kind of fizzle out, and like I hope it doesn't. I mean, I'm having fun, and it's like it's so rewarding for me to hear from everyone that they're enjoying what I'm doing. But it's like I guess I'm still like a little suspicious. Like, I don't know if it's real, so I'm gonna just keep kind of sticking to it and enjoy it for what it is right now. And I hope it keeps going, and if I can make it kind of a full-time thing, then I'm absolutely excited to do that. But I only actually want to do that if it feels good. Like, if it doesn't, I don't want to ruin it by like relying on it to live. Like, if this becomes like, if this turns into a job, like in a way like that would, I am like concerned that it could like ruin it a little bit, but I don't think it will. Like, I think I'm just kind of, that's why I'm pacing myself. So I will keep at it, and I'll keep doing this, and I hope that, I don't want to force anything right now. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I don't want to force it, I guess is what it comes down to. Would you go full-time and do live videos maybe, or do more commissions if you were able to earn enough and quit your full-time job? That's gotta be a dream. Yeah, so that just basically that. I think as far as live videos, actually I hadn't really thought about it, but that sounds kind of cool. I think probably the hardest thing with live for me would be that there are just so many people that watch like all over the world in different time zones, and I don't actually know what a good time would be. And also, like, I usually do cut out a fair amount of interrupting sounds, so I don't know if live might be problematic just because I wouldn't be able to like control everything that goes on, but it might be possible. It's not a no for sure. Commissions wise, I like commissions. I think that I would probably, I'm feeling currently, and this could change, but commissions, like, I probably would do no more than like 25% of my paintings as commissions. But I don't know. I'm still kind of, my thinking around that's a little bit evolving, but it just, for me, I like kind of getting into a flow, and like a lot of times like one painting gives me the idea for the next painting, even if it doesn't look connected to, maybe it, it is. And so I like being able to kind of just maintain that momentum. And sometimes commissions, as much as I love doing them, they do kind of break that up. And I tend to like stress about them a lot, and that's probably a me thing more than anything, but I do kind of find them to be a little bit more stressful to take on than just painting whatever. So I think that probably there might be a balance for it, and I'm taking a break from them for a little bit just because I'm trying to like find that again. But I do think it could be a piece of the equation. What is your favorite meal, and have you painted it before? Favorite meal? I think like I'm gonna have to think about this for just a second. I've got a couple options. I haven't painted it before. I really haven't painted any food, so I really like tacos and guacamole and chips, and I also like steak. And I haven't painted any of those things, but like maybe like brisket tacos. Brisket tacos are really good. I would eat some brisket tacos. I'm not gonna paint. I don't think I'm gonna paint that. Maybe I will. That could be fun. Do you listen to music? What is your favorite artist or group? And of course, what is your favorite painter and style? Okay, I should have broken that up. But I don't listen to a lot of music. I know that's gonna sound so weird. And I really enjoy it. Sometimes you guys will send me like songs and I'll like listen to them, but like I don't listen to a lot of music otherwise. And it's not that I don't like music, I just don't listen to a lot of music. partially, I don't know. It's like I don't know, my day work doesn't really like fit in for, and then I also, I mean, I do this and I'm quiet when I'm painting, and I don't know, I never really added in. Let's see, favorite painter and style. I always go back to Van Gogh, and he's like, I mean, and obviously I love Bob Ross. And I just think, generally all of the Impressionists are, I think, a big inspiration for me. I like the combination of like appreciation for like natural lighting, but also like the simplicity of the way that they're able to make images. And it doesn't always relate to what I do, but it's kind of similar. Let's see. What got you started in painting and art, and when did that love for it start? I think I've literally always drawn, and like I go back to like when I was a kid, and just like, you know, my mom gave me markers and crayons and things like that, and like I just would color. And I mean, it sounds so silly, I'm sure, like what kid didn't like to color? I don't know, but like I definitely did. And I also I really did love watching Bob Ross when I was like really little. Like I would watch him on TV when like my grandmother would watch me for the day when mom was at work, and I would watch him, and I would be like, it wouldn't be like every day, I don't know what the schedule was, but like whenever I could, I always thought that was like such a treat. And I just was mesmerized by him, like from being like a tiny kid. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess maybe that's where I would say it started. And yeah, I mean, I've always kind of like, just like I said, gone in and out of it, and done a little drawing and things like that. Always liked art class, was like my favorite in school, that kind of thing. When you're painting, you seem to be looking over to the side, back and forth. Are you looking at a reference photo, painting or photo? Yes. Yes, I'm looking at the reference. I don't really use reference paintings at all. I'm basically, it's usually always a photo. The exception being, I think I did look at Van Gogh's Starry Night a little bit while I was doing that study with my Snowy Night. But generally, yeah, looking at a photo. I talked about that a little bit earlier, so there's some more info about that earlier. Do you speak softly all the time? I enjoy your painting. I do I don't know, not always. I think that it's not practical to speak softly all the time, but when I can, I prefer it. I think that, obviously, like if I get excited or if I'm in a loud environment, like anybody else, you know, I speak at the volume that the situation requires. Sometimes I can be loud, but I don't know. I like to be in kind of quiet mode. I really enjoy it. If I could be like this all the time, that would be fine with me. Let's see. What is your favorite types of stuff to paint? Landscapes, portraits, animals, etc. Also, what is the most challenging type of things to paint for you personally? So, favorite types of stuff to paint. I think landscapes, I always go back to landscapes. I think that I've said before, like there's just, the world is so beautiful, and there's really so much in it, and like I don't know how anyone could ever like get tired of painting landscapes, or like I don't know if I ever could, and I still feel that way, and I feel that way even more so when I get to go outside and do some painting outdoors. But I do feel like that just in general, that there's just so much, and I definitely just want to keep seeing more of it and painting more of it. So I think landscapes for me are sort of endlessly enjoyable. Animals and portraits are both more challenging for me, I would say, for different reasons. So portraits, I think, are definitely like a sort of a discipline all on their own. People practice nothing but portraits for years and years and years and years to get very good at that. And for me, it's not. I would like to do it more, and I think I respect that practice, and I'd like to become competent at it, but I don't think that I am currently. I think that, yeah, it's not something I'm probably not drawn to enough for how much work I recognize that it would be. But I do really love portraiture, and I love seeing other portrait artists and see what they do. I love watching portrait painters, but it's not really my area. I love painting animals. I think I'd like to paint more animals. Probably the toughest thing I've found with animals is that I feel like I would prefer to work from my own images, and that's more complicated just in terms of even getting decent photography or getting good at taking photography of animals. But I think that there are probably ways to do it. I think it's down the road, maybe I'll do a little bit more with that. Yeah, so I think that answers that. Do you like Sylvester Stallone? This is basically as boring as the music question, where it's like, I don't know, I don't really have a strong opinion on him. I watched Rocky recently. That was kind of fun. I actually do kind of like watching movies that are like a little old right now. I think a lot about media, and there's something about, I don't know, just the pacing of older movies that I really miss it in a way. Like, I think it's a little bit similar to how I make these videos, where I'm not really in a rush, and like I've been shocked that people want to watch these like quiet, slow videos of painting. But I feel like there's just so much media today that is really, it's really like actually kind of damaging, like in a way. Like, I don't know, it just like it wears me out, and I've been really careful about sort of what media I expose myself to. Like, I try not to do a lot of scrolling, and I try not to do the shorts and like all of that stuff. And if you're into that, don't worry about it. It's all whatever. Everyone has to do their own path. But yeah, so that's a thought on Sylvester Stallone and movies and media. Have you traveled to other countries for inspiration in your paintings? I have traveled a little bit. Let's see. So outside of the U.S., I've been to a few countries. I've been to Ireland. I've been to France. I've been to South Africa. I've been to Canada. I haven't been to many other places. I think that might be about it. I haven't done like a ton of international travel. There've been like random trips here and there. And you know, it's been obviously very inspirational. Any travel that I get to do, I consider like a huge inspiration. But actually, like, a lot of that was all kind of before I started painting. So I sometimes will go back and look at older photos, but I haven't been a lot of places lately. So I don't know. I've got the travel bug. I've got to do more. What are some other things you do for fun? Is this what you do for a living? How many hours a week do you spend painting? I think I answered the first couple parts of that already. How many hours a week do I spend painting? I probably spend, I don't know, about 6 hours maybe altogether. I think I would say like 4 to 6, depending. And it's really just the paintings that I'm doing for this channel. So I don't have like other secret paintings that I'm making right now anyway. Yeah. Would you consider looking over pictures of Alaskan mountains and painting one of those? I did, and that video should be out before this video, so you will see it. I keep thinking of questions. Do you buy your canvases ready-made, or do you build the frame and stretch your canvas? I buy my canvases ready-made right now. They are, for the size that I do, that seems to be the most kind of economical way to do it. If I get into doing much larger ones, like much larger ones, it would make sense to build them, but currently it doesn't really make sense. Like I'd spend almost as much time making canvases as painting them, I think. Let's see. I like how you're fearless in your work. I'm not so, more controlled with mine, but I would like to be more confident in applying paint. Do you have any advice on how to become more confident in working with paint? I think that for me, the thing that's given me the most confidence has really been just having a very regular practice and knowing that, you know, there's always the next painting. I think that it's so easy if you spend all your time on one painting and you work on it for months and months, that like every decision that you make becomes too precious, and then it just stifles you a little bit. I mean, everyone's different, but for me, knowing that, you know, really I do paintings that take me, you know, a few hours, and then after this painting I'll do the next painting, and that's okay. And I think that yeah, that works pretty well for me. Just, you know, keep going, keep momentum. Remember that like this isn't your last painting, it's just your painting that you're doing right now. And you can always learn from it and apply that to the next one. How or where did you learn to paint? Like really almost 100% like on my own. I pretty much, yeah, like I have, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think I've looked up, like especially for oil painting, I had never touched oil paints until about 6 months ago. And that I learned a lot of things just watching different people on YouTube and trying things and experimenting and reading here and there. And watching videos about color theory, things like that. And just kind of generally following any questions and interests that I have along the way. I just look up everything. You know, it's kind of how I am. So yeah, that's that. The other thing I will say that's kind of funny, and I'm thinking about it looking back, but I did say that I spent some time finishing furniture, and that actually did teach me a lot about materials and about sort of water-based versus oil-based, and like all the different kind of compounds that are involved in these types of things. And like I think that does inform how I know how to make a painting. It doesn't necessarily make me know how to paint images well, but I think it does. I do know a lot about materials, and I think sometimes that comes through, and it just comes in handy more often than I realize a lot of times. So I'll say that like just having that's also a lot of hours of a brush in my hand that maybe doesn't seem like it's related, but it is. Yeah. So, do you paint for a living full time? Do you have children? Are you married? Is it hard to do all these paintings and still accommodate jobs and our family? Okay, this is a big one. I think I might have actually covered most of this. I don't have kids. That's probably the only thing that's in here that I didn't add. Oh, routine. I have kind of a set routine. I have sort of times that I know generally work for me. So a lot of times, like for painting, I will do, I do the majority of my painting on the weekends. and then I will do a lot of editing during the week. Or sometimes I will start paintings on the weekend and then I'll finish them during the week and then do the editing. Yeah, that sort of thing. So I don't have like a very strict routine. I try not to have it overly scheduled, so that if life happens and I have to move things around, I just do it. Which is why, like, if I try for the 2 videos a week, but if like it's only ends up being 1 or something like that, like I try not to worry too much about it. It's not like, I don't know. I try not to put too much extra stress, I guess. I don't think that there's a danger that the channel will force me to paint so much that I get tired of it. I do think, yeah, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it, so I think that I will probably just, yeah, as long as I keep to subjects that I'm interested in and I feel like I continue to keep growing and exploring. I think I do worry a little bit sometimes about getting kind of like typecast or like having to only do one style of work. But I don't know. I don't think it's too much of a problem. YouTube can be funny like that. Sometimes it's like if you do one style and then like everyone likes it, and then you do another style and people are like not as into it, it can like kind of punish your channel for a little while. So I'm aware of that, and like I know that I have to please the people, but also the algorithm. But I try to just, if I don't put too much pressure on myself, I just do what I'm interested in. I think that will be the best thing long term, even if it means that, you know, the growth might be up and down a little bit. Are you normally a quiet and soft-spoken person? Yes, maybe. I think so. I don't know. Like I said, I can be loud when I need to be, but I think that my natural state, I'm kind of like a little bit more introverted and a little awkward. You probably figured that out. And yeah, I tend to be on the quiet side. What sort of training did you have to do? So I mean, like I said, I'm mostly self-taught as a painter, so I didn't really have to do anything, but I just kind of follow my interests as I have them and look up questions as I have them and things like that. I did, as far as art school goes, I did a lot of drawing there. I did a lot of charcoal drawing, life drawing, figure drawing, and then also like sort of learning all of the technical things to do with the different materials I was using. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of a mixed set of things, not anything incredibly structured, and I don't know if it relates too much to the painting, but a little bit of that. Do you typically work in silence? Would you play some music while painting when not doing ASMR videos? Any suggestion of music to listen to while enjoying the art you're making? Yeah, I would say I do typically work in silence. I know, maybe that sounds so weird. I know a lot of people can't deal with quiet, but I really can, and I like it. And I think, you know, it also comes from working in kind of loud environments sometimes, and sometimes I just like crave the quiet. So I do, when it's my choice, I do go for silence. I don't know. It's just the way it is. So as far as suggestions for music to listen to, I would say whatever you like, you should listen to. I think that is one thing that I wish more art channels did, I wish that they didn't put music, because I think that there are so many different types of music out there, and everyone has different preferences, and usually whatever music they put is terrible and annoying. So I like just not having extra music and things. Do you enjoy any sports? Yes. I'm mostly kind of like I said, I like to be outdoors, and I like to do, I don't know, kind of, yeah, like I said, hiking, skiing, snowboarding. When I was growing up, I actually did gymnastics for a lot of years, and I also ran track and field and did those types of events. So I think that kind of like influences the way I like to, I don't know, not like train. I'm not really training in anything, but like the way I think about movement and like athleticism as a person. Yeah, I do enjoy moving, and I enjoy, I don't know, a little bit of adventure, I guess. Yeah, that's how I enjoy sports. I'm not a big like spectator. And I've never really like done a lot of team sports. That's just not, again, I know some people love that stuff. That's just not me. So yeah. My spouse used to love painting, but she hasn't done it in years. She will say that she wants a hobby to do, and I recommend she gets back into painting, but she says that she would probably be lousy at it. What would you recommend I say to her to help her get back into painting? Thanks. I would say that it just doesn't matter if you're lousy at it, and you should just do it if it's fun. I really, when I decided I wanted to pick up painting, I knew I like expected to be lousy at it at first, and so I wasn't disappointed. And I think that once you get into doing it, it's if you really love it, you'll feel that, and it won't really matter. Like, I think it's just like get set up with some stuff and go for it. And you know, if she hasn't painted in years and wants to try something new, you know, maybe try a different medium. Maybe, you know, I don't know if she did oils or acrylics or watercolor or gouache, but there's so many different things that you can do, and maybe try a different one. Maybe start fresh. I think for me, that's part of why I was like coming back to making art, and I was like, I'm gonna paint. And because I hadn't really done it, I didn't have that same kind of baggage around it, which I feel like it's a whole conversation. But I do think, yeah, maybe change mediums, maybe try it a little different, and don't worry about being lousy at it. Just worry about having fun, and also do like keep going. You know, make the next one. You can buy like canvases like the ones that I use. Like, these are 16 by 20s. You can buy them in packs, and like, you know, I would say buy a pack of them, like buy 5 of them at one time, 5 or 6. I think they come something like that. And just know that you're going to do them all, and you know, whatever size. You could do big ones, small ones, whatever, but they, you know, buy a pack of canvases and, you know, commit to doing the set. Like, don't worry about just doing one. Yeah, and just like look things up, learn about it. I think it's never been easier to learn to make art than it is right now with YouTube. There's so many resources. There's so many like really experienced people out there sharing what they know how to do. So just jump into it. Don't be scared. Have fun. Are you a cat person or a dog person? Cat, I hope. And do you like to listen to music while you paint? I have owned cats and dogs both. Most recently, I have had a cat, though he passed away sadly in October. So I have no pets right now, which is a little sad. But I feel like, I don't know. I've been talking about wanting to travel more, and having a pet does kind of make that more difficult. So, taking a little break from being a cat parent. But yeah, I do love cats. I love dogs too. They're great, honestly. Dogs are like a ton of work. Cats are like a little bit less work. My cat was a really great cat. I don't know. I like, it's not all, like every pet's different, you know, they all have different personalities. I think it's not like which animal so much as like, do you like that animal? Is that your pet? And do you listen to music while you paint? I've answered that a few times now. Okay. Favorite artist in history? I said Van Gogh. I'm going to stick with that. I really love his combination of like drawing and painting that's kind of mixed together. And I just think that it's beautiful, and I think that there's a lot in there. That's nice. At what age did you realize that you love to paint? Please continue to talk to us. Yeah, like I said, I was tiny, a little kid. Are you or have you ever been a teacher? Kind of, not really. I once taught like a sort of arts elective class, so I guess like one semester I taught at an elementary school, and I did teach a little class there. So I guess yes, but I don't think I'm a very good teacher. I think the kids had fun. I think classroom control is not like my it's not like what I'm good at. What is the story behind From the Ashes Like a Phoenix? So I wasn't going to answer this one at first, but I'm going to, I guess. So I think, yeah, like right before I started painting again, I was like actually like pretty depressed. And I just like felt like I needed to like make some changes and switch some things around in life. So I just like started doing it, and so I think the phoenix imagery kind of like appealed to me at that point. So that was kind of where that came from. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail there. Let's see. I have 2 questions. What painting, sculpture, or piece of art has made the most of an impact on you from seeing in a gallery? I should have looked this up, or I should have planned it ahead. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to Impressionist paintings, and I might have to look up some names because I am actually terrible with names. It's just part why I don't have a good answer for this, but I did recently see several Van Gogh paintings at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Somewhat recently. It was like probably a few months ago for sure. That was great. And I also walked around and saw a lot of other wonderful Impressionist paintings while I was there that weren't part of that exhibit, but were just kind of in there. And I'll maybe put some notes in about who the painters were, because like I said, I'm just terrible with names. But there are definitely some good ones. What do you listen to while painting? Nothing. Very cool. And I think it's cool that you watch me paint while you practice mandolin. I love that there are so many musicians that listen. Yeah. Okay. And last question was, a couple people care about my religious beliefs. I'm gonna just leave that out. I think that I don't know. I just think that these things are too polarizing, and I think that your beliefs are your own, and I know what my beliefs are, and I hope you know what your beliefs are, and I hope they're important to you, because they're important to me. So I'm gonna just skip over that one for now. Yeah, so I think that's it. So I think that's pretty good. I don't know how long this has been. Let's see. A whole hour. Well, for anyone who likes to listen to me talk, I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't know if I can't think of the last time I spoke for an hour from start to finish, so I don't know. Let me know. Let me know how you like this format. I would be up for maybe doing some more Q&A type videos. I had originally planned that maybe I would like do something while I was working on this, but I thought I'd just get it done. I've been thinking about your questions for a while, so I wanted to just not worry about making it too perfect in general. That's just my style. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments if you did. I would love to know. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.